All right. Another day in the milk. Believe it or not, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this out. So bear with me, everybody. New and interesting to me as it is to you. I did a tape show using the StreamYard, but this is my first live. So you guys are going to have to let me know how this turns all out, because this is, different. And I can do a bunch of different things, but I don't know what I'm doing to do them. So
keep it simple.
Yes, I'm going to keep it simple. I got two different screens, and I got things I'm trying to watch everything and try to watch the comments. I wanted to see how this come out, believe it or not. But anyhow, let's see. Let's try this. Lucky Stone, you are going to be the first. Look at that. I figured out how to do that. Ain't that cool? Anyway, welcome to another day in the Milky Way and another Native American Myths and Legends. And this is, wow, episode 14. And we are going to go through a whole bunch of stuff tonight. We have cool stuff. Plus, I got cookies.
You got cookies, but you can't share. That's no fair.
Christmas
you
cookies.
Can't share. It's no fair. Greetings and blessings, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. Well, while Robert's chewing and got a mouthful, I just want to say I hope everyone had a good Christmas, and I am always praying for a good year. So keep the faith.
Absolutely. No.
And thanks for being here.
Dog wants my cookie. Good dog, but no. Can't have the cookie. Okay, so anyway, look at that. I can do all kinds of stuff. I can make them. There's Duggar.
He's saying hi, everybody.
Look at, I can make us bigger and I can make us smaller. This is so cool. So, as always, I'm watching in double screen. I want to say hi to everybody. Project Skyfall, Susie Q, Jill Jarrett, thank you for coming. Witchy Moon, Lucky Stone. Susie Q is in the house tonight. And Ruth Ann Johnson, thank you for coming. Pamela Jean, yeah. Isby, thank you for coming, Isby. I hope the weather is nice down there. Believe it or not, in Florida, I think it's Florida. Yeah. Probably warm down there. You know, we got like 15 below right now. What do you think of that?
I wished I had some of it because it's like, 70 degrees and a high humidity. I'm about to sweat to death. I got the windows open and the fan on. That's out, that's the South for you.
Yeah, that's the South. Look at me. I got my Ana Karana sweatshirt on tonight in honor of Nina. Nina the Mystic, thank you. Nice Ana Karana sweatshirt. This thing is really nice. Everybody go out and get one. Enjoy it because they are nice. It's warm too, especially when it's this cold outside. I am very thankful that I have a sweatshirt like this, especially with the Ana Karana on it. So it's going to be a good night. I got some good stuff picked out tonight.
Well, good. I don't want you to pick out anything bad. I mean, come on.
Well, of course not. But tonight I went for because it's so cold here, I went for the North stuff. North. Men of the Arctic. Hang on. I'm going to put this up. And this is what it looks like. Men of the Arctic. So, can you all guess who that is? I'm talking about the Eskimos. The Eskimos. And wouldn't y'all want to be an Eskimo? Eskimos are fun. They build igloos. I don't know. They do stuff, but I am so glad that, they're out there doing what they do. It's all good, people. It's all good. Sorry, I'm looking around at all these different things. But anyway, So we're going to go with the men of the Arctic. So that's where I'm going to start tonight. David, you got some things picked out for the Indian legends and myths tonight?
Yep.
I hope they correspond, because usually we're right on that wavelength there. Either I'm going to be really hot or we're going to be really cold, one or the other. And I picked out cold stuff because it's cold as I would say it, but I'd probably get kicked off of YouTube. So tonight we're going to go with the men of the Arctic. For thousands of years, the varied peoples who came across the Bering Strait from Asia moved south to the warmer and more comfortable climates. But in time, perhaps about 5,000 to 8,000 years ago, a people crossed into the New World and remained in the frozen Northland. They alone, it appears, possessed the courage to brave the Arctic, most constant threat of starvation. Go figure. And the stamina to endure its intense cold. Among the first resting places of these comparative latecomers was Cape Denbigh, D-E-N-B-I-G-H, Denbigh, Alaska. In Alaska, anyway. Doesn't matter. It's still cold there. Small, just a small tribe, chipped flint tools unearthed there, intricate that the site was occupied as early as 2500 BC. Since the same type of small tools were being made by Arctic men in the east about 1800 BC, it would seem that the people had moved east from Alaska, drifting slowly across the wasteland of the Canadian Arctic to Hudson Bay, Baffin Island, Labrador, and even to Greenland, many places where the Arctic men stopped for the season or for the century may have been discovered. A skeleton chronology bridging the gap to the present indicates that the early Arctic inhabitants might have been ancestors of modern Eskimos. Well, no doubt. And then we move on to this. I'm driving the bus, everybody. I'm driving the bus. If you want to see the picture, I got to drive the bus. So here's the pictures in the book, Eskimo pictures. And here's the other picture. They make some nice pictures in this book. I really like this book. I ordered another book with a lot of pictures for you. I just wish I could tear the pages out, copy them, and then put them up, because that would be even nicer. So we're going to do that.
I want to interject something.
Go ahead.
One or two shows back, I don't know if it was about counting two or not, but we mentioned, the coming across from Alaska and so forth. And I was talking about the different types of arrowhead. And at the moment, I can't think of the name of it. But, it was always said that they had to come around from Alaska. They had to come. That's where our ancestors were. But when they started studying the arrowheads that were already here, and I can't think of the name of the type, but they were like, well, maybe there were people already here and they migrated the other way.
Yeah.
So, this idea, well, they had to come from Russia, because everybody thinks that North America was just empty. I mean, there wasn't nobody here, nothing here, but anyway, we should be careful when we listen to some of these archaeologists. I know when I was growing up as a kid, I was like, you mean they came all the way across the ice from Russia? And no offense, but there was nobody here.
That's
nobody. Seriously.
That's just a little hard to believe, isn't it? It's just a little hard to believe, right?
Right, especially when they were studying this arrowhead, right? And I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, it was so important to them that it's like everybody wants the Indian to come from Russia.
Yeah.
They can't already be here for whatever reason, they had to come from somewhere. They had to migrate. And they either came from, they couldn't have already been here. But anyway, so I wanted to throw that in there because the more I've listened to some of these folks over the years, um, I just want to go, what?
Well, there's no
Please.
idea that's wrong. It's just that these people think it's like, okay, so what if there was this big great society here, and then all of a sudden something happened, and they had to run away somewhere else, and that's why they went there, and it was better habitat or something, you know?
Well, there was the land of Lemuria is
Yep.
supposed to have sank below the ocean, right? So,
Yep.
but the folks left over from there, the ones that came, they went east. They came from the west.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the ancestors of Lemuria who supposedly inhabited Turtle Island, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So chronologically speaking, but my point is that the scientists just want, that we either came from Scandinavia or we came from Russia. That's all. Now, the
Yeah.
second point is the picture that you showed. The Eskimos and the folks from Tlingit tribes and the other folks from the north are fairly dark skinned.
Mm.
Now, if you go to the other side of Canada, Canada and the Vikings and everybody and the Scandinavians, they're like pure white.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, there's a lot more to everything than we can really say, because that's the thing is you can tell by the genetics more than you can tell just by, well, these people here carved this rock and those people carved that rock, so they must be related. Well, that means nothing. I buy a TV and it was made in China. Does it mean I'm Chinese?
Right? Or that we can read Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. Those are people just take it for granted when those things happen.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I wanted to bring up is that, as you were reading it, I was thinking, just remember, they put these things in here, but everything is white centric. It had to come from someplace else to get here.
Yep.
And I've just always thought, why if there were cavemen in Europe, weren't there cavemen in America? I mean, anyway.
Well, and then the thing is were those cavemen, or was it a different type of human? There's like they're up to 5 or 7 types of different humans out there, or races of hominids, not saying they're human like us, but there was several of them. And then the question is were they all the same like us, or were they different? And then we just group them together because, hey, they made spearheads. Well, I'll tell you what, the Indians were making spearheads, and so were the Africans. They were making spearheads too. And believe it or not, the Neanderthals were probably making pyramids or spearheads too, because people aren't stupid. They're going to figure it out. It's like having a wheel. You're not going to say, well, I got a wheel, and nobody else will figure out how to make it. Round is bound to be mine because nobody will figure out round.
Well, but if you're in a rocky place and you throw a rock over the side of a hill and it rolls,
mm-hmm.
I mean, if as long as Neanderthal made it, somebody would have noticed that rock rolling and went,
Yeah.
I mean, in my dumbest of days, I see something and go, I can see where somebody would have just by observation when it went, that rock rolls. Oh, wait, what if we chip the edges off? What if we,
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, you got people figure that out. It doesn't matter where you live.
Well, and it's also like it's like the 100th monkey.
Yep.
So 100 monkeys learned how to wash fruit, and then it seems like they all know how to do it. It's like a consciousness that just happens amongst the monkeys. They don't have to be shown it, taught it, but after the 100th monkey, they just it becomes part of their nature.
Yes.
But and to another point, ladies and gentlemen, we are not descendants of apes. Okay. We are not descendants of apes. One more time. We are not descendants of apes. Okay. Period.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there you go. That's the thing. It's we can't be, and people are too smart for that. And if we were descendants of apes, we don't really have a lot in common with them genetically or otherwise.
Right.
So that is just kind of crazy. But anyway, I think humans in one shape or form have been on the earth for, millions of years. I mean, you could see it in the fossils with the footprints of one next to the other, right next to the dinosaurs. You got
And
dinosaurs.
tools.
Yes, and tools.
And leather. And, just saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weren't stupid.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pamela Jean says humans were created, and maybe they were. Maybe we're created after another race of aliens, because really, if you really think about it, we don't fit with any other animal on the planet. We really don't. I mean, we kind of look like an ape, so therefore we categorize ourselves with apes. Are you kidding me?
Right. And many of the Hopi and the other tribes believe that the ancestors came from the stars.
Yes.
I mean, the dog star, Sirius. What's there's another famous one, but anyway,
Orion.
Yeah, Orion, and but to the idea though that somehow those native peoples and their stories and legends are like, wait a minute. So people nowadays are like, ancient aliens and all this other stuff. And native peoples go, yeah, we're from the stars. Get over it. So, but white man has to, they've got the Bible and all this stuff, and they're convinced that God created them. Well, I know we've been created, but couldn't we have been created someplace else first?
Yeah.
And that this is another, this is our total life journey. In other words, even Jesus said, reincarnation, we're going to live forever. You're going to go live, and we'll be happy, so this is one of our lives.
Yeah.
And no matter how far back you go, 1 trillion years, we've probably been around since then,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, here we got Eskimos. Let's learn about the Eskimos because I think if any of them, they're hardy. They've been there for a long time, even though they say, oh, it came out of Africa or something. The Eskimos were there for a long time, because to learn the stuff that they learn, you had to put a lot of time and effort into it. I tell you that. You can't just show up one day and
And I want to say that having met quite a few, over the years, from Tlingit and other nations in Alaska and British Columbia and up there, those folks look like they're Russian. They look like the Mongols of old. They have features, and like that one picture you showed of that gentleman.
Yeah.
The strong jaw and the features. That's not from the Southwest Indian. That's not Cherokee. Their relations do look like they came from Russia, and their ancestors probably did come across the ice to that area. But I wouldn't necessarily say that the Russians invaded the United States all them years ago, and because there are physical features that are obvious, and you go, woo, that he's an Indian,
Yep. Oh man, I froze up. Look at that. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, at least it's not blurry.
Yeah, at least I'm in a good position without a frowny face. Hopefully it'll fix it. Maybe I'll do some stuff when you're reading I'm going to read about the Eskimos.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I quit. I keep interrupting.
Oh, no, that's all right. Okay, the Eskimos are the only native people north of Mexico who are not properly speaking Indians. Both scholars and general public have long regarded them as a race apart. Most Eskimos live along the shores of the frigid Arctic Ocean, hunting seals throughout the long winter. As summer begins, a promise of relief from the cold, many of them abandon their domed igloos and turf-covered driftwood shacks and move inland to hunt caribou. Villages split into wandering bands living in conchal, skin-covered tents on the treeless tundra. Despite the obvious hardships of their environment, the Eskimos are cheerful, well-adapted, and remarkably inventive. Working in their antler bone and ivory, they are artisans, producing an astonishing variety of objects used in the hunt, many of them rising above the utilitarian level to become true works of art. The women fashion snug caribou fur garments using America's first thimbles. Until the 20th century, Eskimos were little touched by the outside world, perhaps because they lived on land no one else coveted. But when new types of food, clothing, and shelter were introduced, the resulting deterioration amongst the Eskimos indicated that they had known better than the white man how to meet the stern challenges of their harsh environment. Well, go figure that.
Well, for example, having, I keep bringing up over the years my friend Koshka, who I think has passed over, but Koshka is a legend keeper from the Tlingit. And so having had, many conversations at many powwows with him, and the fact that we were both storytellers and so forth. But anyway, they were a hardy people. And he gave me personal letters from his brother, who would go out still in a bark skin kind of kayak out there off the coast of Alaska, and who still fished the old ways, and who still was using the old methods. And this was just a few years. Well, I guess it's been about 10 years ago now. But he said, he gave me his personal letters, and he said, I want you to hear from my brother's voice what it's like to be out on the water in the sound, and to paddle with the whales and the porpoise and so forth, and to see the eagles and the birds and to be there, and it'd be cold as snot, but to that point though, so they were very hardy people, but they just acclimated to their situation, and rather than they'd be out on the snow or whatever, and traipsing around and everything, and the white man would be freezing to death and have to build a fire, and the Eskimos are going, what fire, because there ain't no wood anywhere nearby, They pick up driftwood and things like that off of the coast, but if you've seen the pictures of Alaska, where are you gonna find a tree how are you gonna start a fire with what? Now, if you're out on the prairie, there are buffalo chips and stuff, so, but not so much up there. So these folks are very hardy indeed. And it's true. I think I saw somebody say something in the chat, they didn't have any vegetables in the wintertime.
Yes.
But they knew how to use seaweeds for things, and they had a variety of fish. And they caught whales, they caught porpoise, they caught tuna, they caught a lot of stuff, right? And when the white man moved up there, it was mostly because they were fishing.
Yes, the white man, and so they see, that's the thing. They stayed very untouched, and because who's going to go up when you're in the cold weather? Nobody likes it there. That's why around the equator of the planet is like, around the equator of the planet is the most populated area of the world. Everything else, it starts, moving out. But since, we invented all kinds of things, the population moves north a little more, because of the fact that we can bring our heat and our electricity and our food from the south with us. Ain't that nice?
Well, native folks, in the winter, I talked with some folks that were from BC, and up there's a one next to it, I can't remember, but they talked about how they built these wiki up kind of things that were like 12 feet tall.
Yep.
And they had a hole in the top for the smoke to go out. And in the summertime, the snow melted and they went out through this opening in the side, and the whole family lived in there. Everybody lived in there.
Mm-hmm.
In the summertime, they kind of spread out, but in the wintertime, they, that the snow would get so tall that the only way out was to go through the smoke hole.
Yeah.
That you couldn't get out, and so I was chatting with these wonderful ladies several years ago at a retreat,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, so you just like stay in there? And they were like, yeah, we just go through the hole in the top. We got a ladder. Mm-hmm. And I said, so how do you get off of it? She goes, the snow's right up to the top. She goes, there'd be 10 foot of snow and it'll stay there, but it packs in the heat and all the bodily heat and the fire. And she goes, it stays remarkably warm.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay. I mean, but they literally, I've seen pictures, that she showed us on slide projectors. And I was amazed. I was like, well, what about grandma? And they said, well, sometimes grandma don't make it out in the winter, and we help her up the ladder. And I was like, holy crap. Okay.
Grandma's pretty athletic.
To climb up the ladder they had, you betcha. I was like, what? But if you had to go to the toilet bad enough, I think I'd make it.
Absolutely. Maybe they got indoor plumbing,
They had something worked out, but I'll tell you what, I mean, you wouldn't want to go out there and bury your parts in that stuff anyway, but
not 40 below.
But anyway, but it's amazing how people adapt and how people I've this going over to the Himalayas, you see these monks running around in these temples and and these, saffron robes and stuff like that, and then all the people are in parkas and I myself during the winter time, unless it's going to get below a certain degree, I won't fire up my heater simply because I want to get used to the temperature. So it can be 55 in the house and I'm comfortable now, a month ago, 55 and I was freezing. Now 55 is like comfortable. So,
well, you get acclimated. I know here in the north, after a little while you get acclimated and it could be 10 below zero and it feels like it's 20 degrees out. You just get used to it.
Yep.
Anyway, I want to give a shout out. We're about halfway through, and I want to give a shout out to Emperor Rex is in the house, and Crystal MacArthur from Olive Hill Soapery. Yay! She tried to have a podcast earlier today, and it just wasn't turning out. So I'm sending her much favor that she can get it going. And I don't know what the problem was, but I'm rooting for you, girl. I hope you can figure it all out. I'm sure she's putting in a lot of hard work. David Castle, thank you for coming. Let's see who else is in the house that I haven't seen. Doug Stack is in the house. Yay. He's working hard down there in Louisiana, and he's starting a tire business. So everybody, if you're down in there, go buy some tires. And Mossy Man is in the house. Yay.
Hi, everybody.
We have Crystal, I would have watched your show, but I was on there. I was waiting, but nothing happened. I don't know. It's computer problems, I'm sure. So I know you'll hit the right buttons and things will work out. It is what it is. We all have those days.
Yep.
Okay. So, David, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, potpourri.
Potpourri.
Yeah, a mixture.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess this is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's a couple of coyote stories, and I went back through my head, and now I'm back through. I used to write all the stories down every time we did it, and I lost my place. I found my place again,
Oh,
but
okay.
I try not to. We try not to do the same story twice. Just out of respect to that, there's so many stories to be told. So anyway, if you will, you got your little booklet thing ready there?
I'm working on it. This isn't the same as Zoom was, so I am.
All right, we're
hang on.
way down about page 290, just to let you know where I'd be starting. And
okay,
some of these stories that I'm going to read have to do with relationships. Now, the one story, when I get to it, Coyote
that ain't working.
Wants to marry, this chief's daughter, and he's like, nah, and you say coyote and what and who, coyote and badger, or what? Oh, what is this? Well, you have to think about this in terms of not just the animal, but the totem.
Okay, where are we?
290.
290. Oh shoot! I got a long ways to go.
Yeah, scroll down, my brother. So, but here's the thing. So and yes, I got the cards over here, and I'm going to pull a couple tonight. So, but when you hear the stories, you say it was coyote. Well, it could be coyote.
Yeah.
Hang on a sec.
All right, I'm hanging. Don't worry. I'll share the screen here, and we'll work at this together.
I'm done. Where was I?
Look at that. Hot diggity dog.
Oh, there you are.
Now we can see it. I'm
290.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on how to figure out the share screen. I knew how to do it on Zoom, and now, hey, this is a live show, people. We are winging it. I hope you've seen our show from last week. We were playing around with this too, and until we get it ironed out, that's just the way it's going to go. Oh, 290. The Tuligwam woman and a butterfly man.
Tolowim.
Yeah, okay.
Tolowin.
Okay. And I'm going to see if I can.
Some of these names are really, it'll turn your mouth inside out. And, but anyway, I think I was talking about relationships and, the characters. So if in some instances, it may not have been the snake or the badger or an actual spider, but it is a person with that energy.
Yeah.
So it is the spider woman's energy, or the coyote energy, or fox energy, or eagle energy, or so, keep that in mind. And people say, well, see, these stories don't make no sense. How can a badger and a coyote get it together? Well, it's because it's about the energy of the animals.
Yeah, and those animals are representing, a person at the time, or like in the Roman things or the Greek gods, there was Zeus and he had a thunderbolt and he lived in the clouds and and he could do all these things. And Neptune was under the sea and he had his pitchfork thing, Well, they represented people who could do these amazing things. And now you just have, with the Indians, you didn't have Neptune and all that. You have badger, coyote, and they represent a god or a person, an entity, and they do these crazy things. And instead of putting a label and saying Joe Blow went and climbed the mountain, it's Coyote climbed the mountain, right?
Right. And also too, in that in several of these stories, you'll pick up and it's like, wait, coyote medicine, he's got this and that, and he can change and do this, and it's like, wait a minute. Well, all animals have their natural quote powers, and all of us have our natural talents. And so in days of old, when knights were bold, the idea though that um, we had more than we have now, and we've lost it over time. And so, but to say, well, Coyote could change, or he was the trickster, or he was also a creator. What? Well, we're all creators in a way. So you have to think about Coyote people, or the tribe of, the Coyote tribe, or the Wolf tribe, or the Butterfly clan, or you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind when people say, well, these are just stupid stories. Not really, because they relate to people.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is and that's the thing, they relate to people, and then you can associate with them. It doesn't matter if it's coyote or badger or whatever. It's just good. It wouldn't be a good fairy tale if you had these names, or if you had whatever name you wanted to name that person or whatever. People would forget the name. They would.
Well, here's the thing though, if they say coyote, then people understand, oh, it's coyote medicine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
if it's something, it's this. If it's badger, it's this. So if it's rabbit, it's a lot like coyote in a lot of ways. So, but anyway, but they do represent personalities of people, and so. But anyway, so I had to find my other glasses. That's what was taking me so long.
Oh yeah.
Tolowim, woman, and butterfly man. Are we ready?
Yes.
It's the Medu. The Tolowim woman went out to gather food. She took her child with her, and while she worked, she stuck the point of the cradle board in the ground and left the child alone. A large butterfly flew past, and she started after it and chased it for a long time. She would almost catch it and then just miss. She thought, perhaps I can't run fast enough because of this heavy thing. And she threw away her deerskin robe. But still, she never could quite overtake the creature. Finally, she threw away her apron too and hurried on, chasing the butterfly till night came. Then, her child forgotten, she lay down under a tree and went to sleep. When she awoke in the morning, she found a man lying beside her. He said, "You have followed me this far. Perhaps you would like to follow me always. If so, you must pass through a lot of my people." Without thinking of her child at all, the woman rose and followed the butterfly man. By and by, they came to a large valley whose southern side was full of butterflies. When the two reached the edge of the valley, the man said, "No one has ever before come through this valley alive, but you'll be safe if you don't lose sight of me. Follow closely." They traveled for a long time. "Keep tight hold of me. Don't let go," the butterfly said again and again. When they came halfway through the valley, other butterflies swarmed around them in great numbers. They flew every way, all around the couple's heads and in their faces, for they wanted to get the Tolowim woman for themselves. She watched them for a long time, holding tightly to her new husband. But at last, unable to resist, she let go of him and reached out to seize one of the others. She missed that one and she tried to grab now one, now the other, but always failed. And so she wandered in the valley forever, dazed and lost. She died there, and the butterfly man she had lost went on through the valley to his home. And now, when people speak of the olden times, they say that this woman lost her lover and tried to get others, but lost them and went crazy and died. Based on a tale reported by Roland Dixon in 1904. So that's an old story. Now, the next one is a little further down. It's on page 305. Why Mole Lives Underground. I may have read this before, but I'm not quite sure, but it's a short one. And this is for entertainment purposes, but there are these little messages tied in with some of these. So we skipped quite a few stories that are quite long. And one of them is The Man Who Married the Moon. Robert's going by them right now, lickety split. There's The Husband's Promise that comes from New Mexico. The Apache chief who punishes his wife. And oh man, does he punish her. Whew. It's a little gruesome. Why Mole Lives Underground. Cherokee.
Oh, there we go. I had my mute on because the dogs are fighting in here, and I was like, "Holy cow!" They're making a lot of noise.
I just kept talking.
Yeah, I'm
like
trying
I normally
to get used to
do.
this. Yeah, I know, that's all right. I'm agreeing with you. I'm like, yep, okay, That's all about what I said. So anyway, okay, this is the one we want. You ready to go?
Yes, this is based on a tale reported by James Mooney in the 1890s. It's a Cherokee story, and it's called Why Mole Lives Underground. A man was in love with a woman who disliked him and wanted nothing to do with him. He tried in every way to win her favor, but no success. At last, he grew discouraged and made himself sick thinking about it. Well, Mole came along and, finding the man so low in his mind, asked him what the trouble was. The man told him the whole story, and when he had finished, Mole said, I can help you. Not only will she like you, but she'll come to you of her own free will. That night, burrowing underground to the place where the girl was in bed asleep, Mole took out her heart. He came back by the same way and gave the heart to the discouraged lover, who couldn't see it even when it was in his hand. There, said Mole, swallow it, and she will be drawn to you that she has to come. The man swallowed the heart, and when the girl woke up, she somehow thought of him at once. She felt a strange desire to be with him, to go to him that minute. She couldn't understand it because she had always disliked him. But the feeling grew so strong that she was compelled to find the man and tell him that she loved him and wanted to be his wife. And so they were married. All the magicians who knew them both were surprised and wondered how it had come about. When they found out that it was the work of the mole, whom they had always thought too insignificant to notice, they were jealous and threatened to kill him. That's why Mole hid under the ground and still doesn't dare to come up.
Go figure. Go figure. Well, that was good. That was good. You know what? We're going to have to do some of these, like the long stories, and just tape them and put them out as Milky Way shorts. I sure do like that. I got a whole slug of these already done up, the Milky Way shorts of you reading these stories, and I just got to download them onto the thing. So there's going to be a whole bunch of them, everybody. Then you can listen to a story at a time. It'd be really good.
This next one is on page 306, and it's a little longer, not much, but it's an interesting story.
Yep.
A legend of Multinoma Falls. I hope I'm getting that even close to correct. I'll probably mess it up, but Multinoma. Many years ago, the head chief of the Multinoma people had a beautiful young daughter. She was especially dear to her father because he had lost all of his sons in fighting, and he was now an old man. He chose her husband with great care, a young chief from the neighbors, the Klatsa people. To the wedding feast came many people from tribes along the lower Columbia and south of it. The wedding feast was to last for several days. There were swimming races and canoe races on the river. There would be bow and arrow contests, horse racing, dancing, and feasting. The whole crowd was merry, for both the maiden and the young warrior were loved by their people. But without warning, the happiness changed to sorrow. A sickness came over the village. Children and young people were the first victims. Then strong men became ill and died in one day. The wailing of women was heard throughout the Multinoma village and the camps of the guests. The Great Spirit is angry with us, the people said to each other. The head chief called together his old men and his warriors for counsel and asked gravely, "What can we do to soften the Great Spirit's wrath?" Only silence followed the question. At last, one old medicine man arose. "There is nothing we can do. If it is the will of the Great Spirit that we die, then we must meet our death like brave men. The Multinoma have ever been a brave people." The other members of the council nodded in agreement, all except one, the oldest medicine man. He had not attended the wedding feast and games, but he had come in from the mountains when he was called by the chief. He rose and, leaning on a stick, spoke to the council. His voice was low and feeble. "I am a very old man, my friends. I have lived a long, long time. Now you will know why. I will tell you a secret my father told me. He was a great medicine man of the Multinoma, many summers and many snows in the past. When he was an old man, he told me that when I became old, the Great Spirit would send a sickness upon our people. All would die, he said, unless a sacrifice was made to the Great Spirit. Some pure and innocent maiden of the tribe, the daughter of a chief, must willingly give her life for her people. Alone, she must go to a high cliff above the big river and throw herself upon the rocks below. If she does this, the sickness will leave us at once." Then the old man said, "I have finished. My father's secret is told. Now I can die in peace." Not a word was spoken as the medicine man sat down. At last the chief lifted his head. "Let us call in all the maidens whose fathers or grandfathers have been headmen." Soon a dozen girls stood before him, among them his own loved daughter. The chief told them what the old medicine man had said. "I think his words are the words of truth," he added. Then he turned to his medicine man and his warriors. "Tell our people to meet death bravely. No maiden shall be asked to sacrifice herself. The meeting is ended." The sickness stayed in the village, and many more people died. The daughter of the head chief sometimes wondered if she should be the one to give her life to the Great Spirit. But she loved the young warrior. She wanted to live. A few days later, she saw the sickness on the face of her lover. Now she knew what she must do. She cooled his hot face, cared for him tenderly, and left a bowl of water by his bedside. Then she slipped away alone, without a word to anyone. All night and all the next day, she followed the trail to the great river. At sunset, she reached the edge of a cliff overlooking the water. She stood there in silence for a few moments, looking at the jagged rocks far below. Then she turned her face towards the sky, lifted up her arms. She spoke aloud to the Great Spirit. You are angry with my people. Will you make this sickness pass away if I give you my life? Only love and peace and purity are in my heart. If you will accept me as a sacrifice for my people, let some token hang in the sky. Let me know that my death will not be in vain and that the sickness will quickly pass. Just then she saw the moon coming up over the trees across the river. It was the token. She closed her eyes and jumped from the cliff. Next morning, all the people who had expected to die that day arose from their beds well and strong. They were full of joy. Once more, there was laughter in the village and in the camps of the guests. Suddenly, someone asked, what caused the sickness to pass away? Did one of the maidens? Once more, the chief called the daughters and granddaughters of the headmen to come before him. This time, one was missing. The young Clatsop warrior hurried along the trail which leads to the big river. Other people followed. On the rocks below the high cliff, they found the girl they all loved. There they buried her. Then her father prayed to the Great Spirit, show us some token that my daughter's spirit has been welcomed into the land of the spirits. Almost at once they heard the sound of water above. All the people looked up to the cliff. A stream of water, silvery white, was coming over the edge of the rock. It broke into floating mist and then fell at their feet. The stream continued to float down in a high and beautiful waterfall. For many summers, the white water has dropped from the cliff into the pool below. Sometimes in winter, the spirit of the brave and beautiful maiden comes back to see the waterfall. Dressed in white, she stands among the trees on the side of Multinoma Falls. There she looks upon the place where she made her great sacrifice and thus saved her lover and her people from death. Reported by Ella Clark in 1953, a year after I was born. But I read that and thought, that's a little longer than some of these other stories, but the sacrifice that people have made, you know. Are you on mute, Robert?
Yes, I am. The dogs
Uh-huh.
are barking crazy like, and I was like, well, But anyway, I'm back to driving the bus. Oh, anyway. Well, that was really good. By gosh, believe it or not, we are almost up to our hour. Unless you got a short one, we could sneak in and then we can move on to the cards. I'm kind of excited because the New Year's coming up, and we all need a good spirit animal card to guide us into the new year. Who will it be? This year where the 2021 is the year of the rat. And we're going to go from the year of the rat, according to the Chinese, to the year of the tiger. So,
I am the tiger,
Yeah. So we're going to go from a rat to a tiger.
Does the tiger eat the rat? But anyway, squirrel all the way down to 356, and there's one more story. And since I kind of sort of talked about arrowheads earlier, this is a story how the people got arrowheads by the Shasta.
Okay. Ooh, close. That was a close one. 59.
356.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh, no problem. I just was repeating.
Oh, okay. There's 356. How the people got arrowheads. There we go.
Alrighty. How the people got arrowheads from the Shasta. In the days when the first people lived, they used to go hunting with arrows that had pine bark points. They did not know where to get obsidian, or they would have used it, for obsidian made a sharp, deadly point which always killed the animals that were shot. Ground Squirrel was the only one who knew that Obsidian Old Man lived on Medicine Lake, and one day he set out to steal some obsidian. Taking a basket filled with roots, he went into Obsidian Old Man's house and offered him some. Obsidian Old Man ate the roots and liked them so much that he sent Ground Squirrel to get more. While Ground Squirrel was digging for them, Grizzly Bear came along. "Sit down," Grizzly Bear said. "Let me sit in your lap. Feed me those roots by the handful." Ground Squirrel was very much afraid of huge Grizzly Bear, so he did as he was told. Grizzly Bear gobbled the roots and got up. "Obsidian Old Man's mother cleaned roots for someone," he said as he went away. Old Man's mother cleaned roots for someone. Oh, Ground Squirrel returned to Obsidian Old Man, but there were only a few roots left to give him. Ground Squirrel told him what Grizzly Bear had done and what he had said as he departed. Obsidian Old Man was extremely angry at the insult to his dead mother. "Tomorrow we will both go to find roots," he said. So early next morning they set off. Obsidian Old Man hid near the place where Ground Squirrel started digging. Soon Ground Squirrel's basket was filled, and then along came Grizzly Bear. "You dug all those for me?" he said. "Sit down." Ground Squirrel sat down as he had the day before and fed Grizzly Bear roots by the handful. But just then Grizzly Bear saw Obsidian Old Man draw near, and the bear got up to fight. At each blow, a great slice of Grizzly's flesh was cut off by the sharp obsidian. Grizzly Bear kept fighting till he was all cut to pieces, and then he fell dead. So Ground Squirrel and Obsidian Man went home and ate the roots and were happy. Early next morning, Obsidian Old Man was awakened by Ground Squirrel's groaning. "I am sick. I am bruised because that great fellow sat upon me. Really, I am sick," he was groaning. Obsidian Old Man was sorry for Ground Squirrel. "I'll go out and get wood," he said to himself, "but I'll watch him, for he may be fooling me. These people are very clever." So he went for wood, and on the way he thought, "I had better go back and look." When he crept back softly and peeped in, he saw Ground Squirrel lying there, groaning. "He is really sick," Obsidian Old Man thought. "I had better go back and look." When he crept back softly, I'm sorry, he's really, and said to himself and went off in earnest, this time for wood. But Ground Squirrel was very clever. He had been fooling all the time, and as soon as Obsidian Old Man was far away, he got up, taking all the obsidian points and tying them up in a bundle, he ran off. As soon as Obsidian Old Man returned, he missed Ground Squirrel. He dropped the wood, ran after him, and almost caught him. But Ground Squirrel ran into a hole in the ground. As he went, he kicked the earth into the eyes of the old man, who was digging fast, trying to catch him. After a while, Obsidian Old Man gave up and left. Ground Squirrel came out the other end of the hole, crossed the lake, and went home. He emptied the bundle of points on the ground and distributed them to everyone. All day long the people worked, tying them on their arrows. They threw away all the old bark points, and when they went hunting, they used the new arrow points and killed a great many deer. Based on the tale recorded by E.W. Gifford in 1930.
Well, ain't that nice? That's pretty cool. That is kind of cool. We were talking about the arrowheads here earlier.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. As I was thumbing through, I was like, there wasn't a particular subject tonight,
Yep.
It was just more of, but they each had their the sacrifice of the young woman. And the fact that the creator, there wasn't a waterfall, and now there is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I wonder how I found that one. Huh.
Okay.
All right, time for a card.
Yep, trying to get my stuff together. I had to find the book.
Don't worry. I want to say hi to Organic Intelligence, and who else did they come in the house here earlier that I missed? But anyway, I know they're carrying on a good conversation. It's been pretty interesting here. Everybody loves your stories. I tell you, they can't get enough.
And I appreciate everybody listening, because as a storyteller, it was my profession, to go around and tell stories. And as many folks know, I don't get out much anymore. So to be able to still be able to use my craft of of being the storyteller and in a way, kind of sort of a legend keeper, because we try to relate the old stories and so forth, and what they mean to us, what it meant to the other folks. But way back when I was a greenhorn, 30 years ago, going to a powwow, I was like, what does some of this stuff represent? And it's like, when I was talking about this earlier about, so it's the bear, or it's,
Coyote or
this
squirrel or rabbit. When was the last time it was rabbit? Yeah.
But the idea, though, that they know it's not the rabbit. It's a spirit that is rabbit, so, or an entity, and they accept it. And so I was asking somebody, I was like, so you really believe it was a rabbit? And they looked at me like, are you dense or what? And they were like, well, duh, and just turned around and walked away. And I thought, now, what did I just do? Because I really wanted to know, do you honestly think it's a rabbit that's doing this stuff? Or, and they were like, you from the Wanabe tribe,
Yeah.
You go learn somewhere else, Anyway, it took a long time to get the real gist of this. So I know there are people who think the medicine cards are like tarot cards or something like that, and they're not. So with that said, I'm going through the cards.
All right. We're patient.
And but I was thinking earlier, for the new year, folks are trying to make, all kinds of resolutions or whatever. And it's like, so what do I hope for the new year? What is my aspirations for the new year? And not that I have any real aspirations, but I was like, I want to continue kindness. What do I hope for this coming year? That kindness, the kindness within people, the kindness in people's hearts. And, many of us here in the Soul Tribe and on my channel and so forth, many of us have connected that way. And I say, if we can just extend our kindness into the next year, which would be kind of hard for us not to because of who we are, but if we extend our kindness into the next year, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it's got to be good, because with kindness, kindness can defeat a lot of other things.
Yes.
I mean, just anyway. So that's sort of been my key thought for today. Before I got to the cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Kindness is a good one. I'm gonna mark that down somewhere. But yeah, we got all kinds of things going on in the new year, and I think we have to concentrate on some of those things like kindness.
Well, there are so many things that want to set us off. And I mean,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like, what? And people getting arrested at a McDonald's or a Burger King or something because they wouldn't prove to the New York folks that they had been jabbed, and they arrested them. I mean, nah, no. I mean, I'm praying for them folk.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway, so we have a 3-card spread. How about that one? They wouldn't let me get away with 1 or 2. It's a 3-card spread.
Mm-hmm.
So, and interestingly, they made me go back for another card, and it was the squirrel.
Go figure.
Which I just read about the ground squirrel. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, so the lead card in this seems to be the wolf, number 15, and it's upside down. The grouse, which I read for somebody the other night, but it's number 34 and it's right side up. And then squirrel is number 26 and it's right side up. So, but anyway, so wolf is the first.
You got the picture, the card? You got the card? I can blow it up, believe it or not.
Yeah, but I'd have to hold it there.
And
then try to read.
Trying to figure out how. No, that ain't how you do it. I can figure out how to do all these different things here. I'm trying to. Oh well, I wouldn't know how to do it anyway. So I guess that doesn't really do much good anyhow.
All of these cards. Hang on. All of these cards and whatever, seem to link somehow. But
yep, they do.
The wolf is the teacher. I gotta put my bifocals on. Wolf, teacher, pathfinder, moon dog of my soul, howling, singing, teaching how to know. Wolf is the pathfinder, the forerunner of new ideas, who returns to the clan to teach and share medicine. Wolf takes one mate for life and is loyal like dog. If you were to keep company with wolves, you would find an enormous sense of family within the pack, as well as a strong individualistic urge. These qualities make wolf very much like the human race. As humans, we also have an ability to be a part of society and yet still embody our individual dreams and ideas. In the great star nation, wolf is represented by the dog star Sirius. Was talking about the ancient, which legend tells was the original home of our teachers in ancient times. Sirius was thought to be the home of the gods by the ancient Egyptians and is still considered so by the Dogon tribe in Africa. It stands to reason that Native American peoples would formulate the same connection and adopt wolf people as a clan of the teachers. The senses of wolf are very keen, and the moon is its power ally. The moon is a symbol of psychic energy, or the unconscious that holds the secret of knowledge and wisdom. Baying at the moon may be an indication of wolf's desire to connect with new ideas which are just below the surface of consciousness. They want me to read that again. Baying at the moon may be an indication of wolf's desire to connect with new ideas which are just below the surface of consciousness. So moving into this next year, there are a lot of new ideas, a lot of stuff, right? And so just below the surface of consciousness. So anybody that goes into the dream world can think up this new stuff. Wolf medicine empowers the teacher within us all to come forth and aid the children of earth in understanding the great mystery of life. And as I've talked about many times, I've said, moving into this new reality, whatever it is, those of us who are awakened up now, it's going to be our jobs to be the teacher and to help these folks and to because it's going to all be new to them. So here's Wolf saying, here we are with teacher. If you have drawn Wolf's card, you may be able to share your personal medicine with others. Your intuitive side may also have an answer for teaching for your own personal use at this time. They want me to repeat that. Your intuitive side, your gut feeling, may also have an answer or teaching for your personal use at this time. As you feel Wolf coming alive within you, you may wish to share your knowledge by writing or lecturing on the information that will help others better understand their uniqueness or their path in life. It is in the sharing of the great truths that the consciousness of humanity will attain new heights. That's a powerful sentence. It is in the sharing of great truths that the consciousness of humanity will attain new heights. Wolf could also be telling you to seek out lonely places that will allow you to see your teacher within. In the aloneness of a power place devoid of other humans, you may find the true you. Looking for teachers, Look for teachings no matter where you go or where you are. Wolf would not come to you unless you requested the appearance of the tribe's greatest teacher. Now, y'all must have asked for this card. If Wolf is reversed, which it is, you are being asked to expand your limited view of the present situation. Doing this may entail a great deal of courage and a willingness to look at new ideas. It could also require that you delete some old ideas to make room for the expansiveness that always comes when you're willing to learn. The gift of wisdom comes to you when you have walked enough pathways and found enough dead ends to truly know the forest. In the discovery and rediscovery of every inch of ground comes the knowledge that nothing ever remains the same. Contrary Wolf may also be telling you that stagnation or fear of asserting your viewpoint has bogged down the flow of change in your life. Wolf reversed is always urging you to seek the teachers or pathfinders that will show you the way to new life experiences. Remember, the teacher or the pathfinder may be the small, still voice within, as well as a person, a leaf, a cloud, a stone, a tree, a book, or the Great Spirit. To live is to grow, and growing comes through accepting all life forms as your teachers. Man, that is so. To live is to grow, and growing comes through the accepting that all life forms as your teachers. All life forms. Become Wolf and take up the sense of adventure. You may just stop howling and learn to become the moon. Now, yeah, I couldn't ask for a better card.
Yeah. You know what? I say that this next year is the year of the wolf. Should be anyway. If they can have a tiger, we can have a wolf.
Well, I think it's the wolf within each of us as tribe members.
Yeah.
It's the family. my medicine shaman person who taught me had a wolf and was
Mm-hmm.
shot by my neighbor. And hanging around with that wolf was just amazing. And so, and just the idea of the family and the thing, yeah. So, but as a family, we can keep the wolf medicine with us,
Yep.
into the next year. Uh, and as looking for teachings, and also that some of us, many of us, have already accepted in one way, shape, or another, that we are have that we are teachers. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, the next card, up or straight up, man, oh man,
Oh boy.
Grouse, the
Grouse.
sacred spiral. Grouse of the sacred spiral, leading us on to reach the everlasting heights where we can live as one. Grouse once flocked in abundance throughout North America, but now, even on the plains where these birds were so plentiful, there is an absence of them. Many Plains Indian tribes dance the grouse dance to honor these birds. The movement of the dance follows a spiral, which is the ancient symbol of birth and rebirth, the ribbed tunnel of eternal return. The sacred spiral is also one of the oldest known symbols for personal power. When you think of grouse medicine, visualize a whirlpool or even a tornado, for the sacred spiral will take you to the center. The spiral is a metaphor for personal vision and enlightenment. Many initiatives on Vision Quest paint spirals on their bodies and believe that the great mystery will favor them with visions of power and purpose because of this symbol. The whirling dervishes of certain Sufi tribes orders are masters of the spiral dance and can transcend to higher states of awareness through the reputation of the sacred movement. It is said that dervishes can travel to the center of the spiral and return with any magical power they choose. In the dervish state, one enters the great silence and has direct communication with the creator. By spinning clockwise or counterclockwise, the dervish draws or repulses specific energies. Sufi dancing is a system which connects one with the divine source through ritual treatment of motion. If you've chosen grouse in your medicine cards, undertake a meditation on the various qualities of movement within your world. Now, they want me to stop here and I have to explain this a little bit. Undertake a meditation on the various qualities of movement within your world. And what does that mean? If you are, uh, if you walk in a choppy fashion, if you go in and if you walk into a store and you're really apprehensive or something and you jerky or it's about being fluid. It's about
Mm-hmm.
having a natural flow and rhythm. So, but anyway, begin by visualizing the sun as a member of a huge group of stars swirling in the massive pinwheel shape of the Milky Way. Welcome, Milky Way.
That's
Then
right.
draw yourself out of this pinwheel of light and into the spiraling of your own DNA's double helix, an arrangement similar to a rope ladder, coiled like a corkscrew. Analyze the way you move through your world. How do you picture yourself in the act of locomotion? Do you bluntly go through and chop through space, or do you slip through the airstream? This may sound, silly to some, but honestly, check yourself out. Like, watch yourself. How are you moving? And you might be surprised that you just might be surprised. What kind of reaction do you create with the energy you send into the universe? In other words, if your actions are a little sporadic, then your energy may be sporadic. So, how are you moving through the universe? What words would you use to describe the way you move through both the material and the spiritual worlds. In the final analysis, is your movement compatible with your greatest desires and goals? Many spiritual disciplines ask that you cease all external movement in order to recognize the inner self. Grouse medicine, however, is an invitation to the dance. Grouse celebrates the divine source through its sacred spiral dance and offers this dance to you as a gift. You can spend a lifetime learning Grouse's lesson on how to harmonize your dance with Mother Earth and with her cycles, and how to offer the dance as a creation of selfless beauty. So if you go outside and twirl and dance and raise your arms in hopefully in a joyful way, that's a gift to the universe. And when you get done, nobody knows you haven't recorded. Well, maybe you did record it, but to the point, it's a gift to the universe. Anyway, number 26 is the squirrel. And gathering. Squirrel, you have gathered nuts by the score, exactly predicting if you'll need more. Teach me to take no more than I need, trusting great mystery to harvest the seed. Squirrel teaches you to plan ahead for the winter. Here we are. When the trees are bare and the nuts have long since disappeared. Squirrel medicine can come in many forms, as this furry creature is very diverse in nature. The erratic behavior of squirrel has bested many a forlorn hunter, and it thus stands to reason that there are benefits to being able to circle a branch at lightning speed. This erratic behavior of squirrel can also get nerve-wracking if you're dealing with persons who have squirrel medicine. Trying to calm them down enough to accomplish something may drive you nuts. The gathering power of squirrel medicine is a great gift. It teaches you how to gather and store your energy for times of need. That's the message in this. It teaches you to reserve something for future use, whether it be a judgment, an opinion, a savings account, candles, or extra food. To put it in a nutshell, squirrel is the Boy Scout of the animal kingdom, always prepared. Now remember what it said. It's not just about food or whatever. It's about everything. Are you storing enough energy for something that may be coming up? I mean, that's an important thing. In today's world of changing times and fortunes, it is the wise person who prepares for the future. Our prophecies have all spoken of the end of the millennium and the changes to come. Squirrel is a friendly medicine to have in light of possible future rainy days. Its message is to be prepared, but not to go nuts with it. Love yourself enough to gather the goods that will meet your needs in times of scarcity, even if that time never comes. Now, if squirrel is scurried into your cards today, it may be that you're being told to honor your future by readying yourself for change. And with the new year coming up, I mean, like a couple of days away, this is interesting, right?
Yes, yes, it
That
is.
you are being told to honor your future by readying yourself for change. We all know that change is coming. The message could be to lighten your load if you have gathered too many things that do not serve you. These things can include thoughts, worries, pressures, stresses, or gadgets that have been broken for years. I'll repeat that. These things can include thoughts, worries, pressures, stresses, or gadgets that have been broken for years. In understanding the balance involved in gathering, you need to look at the idea of circulating the stock of what you've gathered. Squirrel has another lesson which can aid you if you observe what is obvious and which can prepare you for anything. It has to do with the safe place in which to put your gatherings. This safe place is an untroubled heart and mind, and that which is gathered to put in this place is wisdom and caring. The energies gathered will set your mind and your heart free, so that you will know that all will be taken care of in its own time. Apply this to your fears about the future, and they will vanish. They want me to read this part again. Um, it has to do with the safe place in which you put your gatherings, your thoughts, your deeds, your love. This safe place is an untroubled heart and mind. And that which is gathered to put in this place is wisdom and caring. I said earlier, kindness, right? Wisdom and caring, that's kindness. The energies gathered will set your mind and your heart free, so that you will know that all will be taken care of in its own time. Apply this to your fears about the future, and they will vanish. There are a lot of folks that are worried about these future events and stuff like that. So Wolf is saying that we got this. We've got the strength of family and of heart. And, Grouse is telling us, to do the sacred dance and to call upon the energies of the great creator. And Squirrel is telling us, to gather your energies and set your mind and your heart free, so that anything in the future it'll be taken care of. How about that?
That's pretty good. I want to share something if I can. Chloe said something about sharing. About a grouse. She wanted to know about a grouse. So there you go. There's your grouse right there. There's many different types of grouse. There's ones, this kind of grouse, that kind of grouse. There's a lot of different types of grouse. And here's a pretty one. I like that one.
They run across the ground mostly.
Yeah, here's a guy with a grouse on his shoulder. See how they are pretty small. They're not a really big bird. To give you a size comparison of how big a grouse really is.
Yeah, they're not as big as a turkey.
Oh God, no! They're probably a little bit bigger. They're probably about the size of a pigeon.
Some of them, but some of them are, of course, a lot of it is feathers, but they may be the size of a chicken, a small chicken.
Yeah, a small chicken. There they are on the prairie dancing. Yeah, so like out in different places, they have different types, but they really blend into the scenery. And I've seen them out here out west, and man, you really got to look to see a grouse. It is really, really
the way they hunted grouse is like the way they hunt quail and that type of thing here in the East, and they use dogs to flush them out. And when they come up, because you won't see them on the ground hardly.
No,
they're good. And if the grass is tall at all, you'll see the top of the grass maybe wiggle, but you ain't gonna see the grouse. But with that said, though, the way they're hunted mostly are with what they used in the old days was scatter gun or a shotgun.
Yeah. Ooh, here's a really pretty one. Wow. Yeah, they got some really pretty colors. I didn't know grouse came in all these different kinds. Man, oh man, oh man.
Well, some of them I think are, maybe like overseas England kind of grouse too.
Well, here's they're talking. This is a snow grouse. Here's a sea grouse. This one's from overseas. This is a whatever. I can't even pronounce it. Let's see. Here's a red grouse. It doesn't say where it's from. Sage grouse. This is a sage grouse. This one here is the spruce eats. Where this one's come from? Anyway,
I want to tell a little story. I'm going to tell a little story about grouse. In that, many years ago, and it's about this time of year, my brother and I we had our vacations during the Christmas holidays. So we waited for the day after Christmas and went up to the North Georgia mountains. I mean, right up in where Georgia's like this, and South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, right up there in that corner.
Yep.
So we went up there to go fishing and camping and all that kind of stuff. So we were right on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. So we cross over the Chattooga River, where they filmed, but anyway, but we get into South Carolina, and we're driving down through the forest there, had never been over there, and within a mile of being inside of South Carolina, there are all these grouse running across the road. And we drove down a couple of miles, and they're all over the place. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now we turned around and came back, a couple of miles. We were just checking it out and crossed the river and back into Georgia. Not one freaking bird, not one bird. And you say, now, why don't they cross over that river at any point? Because they were had to slow down. They were crossing in front of the truck, right?
Yeah.
Crossed the river and all up and down all the places that we drove, not one bird. So I just they're
just the way it goes. Reason. Yeah. Go figure. Well, it's been a really good night. We went a good hour and a half now. So I tell you, you read the cards. We had we had good history about the Eskimos and good history about our myths and legends about oh my gosh, everything from the mole guy to what else? What was the one we did? The last one? I like that one. That was a good one.
Oh, the ground squirrel.
Yes. The ground squirrel was good. I really thought of that maiden story where she jumped off. That was really sad. I was like, oh man, that could be a movie.
Really? Yeah. And they, in the old days, they kind of sort of did them like that. But the thing is that what's interesting about that story, and people say, well, they sacrificed the virgin. No, they didn't. When all the elders got in there, he said, nope, I ain't doing this. We ain't doing this. Nope, we ain't doing this.
Yeah, we'd rather just die. Let's die. We'll all die together.
We're brave peoples, and we're gonna stand up and be brave. But with that said, though, so it was her decision, not the tribes, to make the sacrifice.
Yeah. Well,
whereas if it were Mexico or other places, they'd have burned her, tossed her off that cliff in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, absolutely. Well, with that, we're going to call it a night. And thank you, David, for coming on again. And we will do this again. This is getting to be a regular thing, and I really enjoy it very much. So remember, everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all.
New Year. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And